Welcome, all sins and commandments alike. This is Griever, your host as always, bringing you guys the latest episode, relatively speaking, episode 11 of the Natsu no Taizai's latest season. Now, this episode review is going to be rather short because there's not a whole lot to go over. I delved into a lot of the themes that were going on with these plot threads in the last review, so there's not really a whole lot to go over in terms of in-depth review, shall I say, because really the first 5 or 6 minutes just base themselves all over Meliodas versus King, and really all it boils down to, there's no new information here. For you anime-only watchers and for your manga-only viewers, we all know who Meliodas really is. So, this is going really nowhere. King is, of course, skeptical in the same way that Bond was skeptical back at the later half of the first season of Meliodas and his allegiance to the Demon Clan. And that's basically it. Like, I could go and dissect each line and how Meliodas was being a bit of a, like trying to worm his way out of things and how their battle went and all that. But there was nothing substantial in the battle that happened. No new revelation, no new nothing. King and Meliodas fight, and King basically decides that he really wants nothing to do with Meliodas until he starts telling the truth. I can kind of get behind that a little bit, because right here, I don't understand how Meliodas, why not just tell the truth at this point? Like, I don't understand keeping everything a secret or keeping everything hidden right now, because that's not doing anybody any favors. Before he gets his power back, which does happen in this episode, I believe we jump over to the later half of the Bond, Jericho, and Zhivago storyline, which this, to me, is in the last episode, this is what really drove me into the episode. But as I said, I really wish they had finished with this and then made the later half of the last episode and this whole episode kind of combine. Like, I understand why they're splitting it, but really, it's taken me out of the moment, because now I'm kind of like, okay, I've had my emotional trauma with the whole Bond backstory. I've had a few sleepless nights. But no, we've already had the Bond thing, and we know exactly what happened in his backstory. We know what happened with Zhivago, and all Bond basically does here is talk about what has happened to him. He found the Fountain of Youth, which it's revealed that Zhivago was the one who led him on that quest in the first place. We know about the Holy Maiden being Lane, Fair King's Forest. He betrayed Meliodas. Meliodas is such a good guy. The only real thing we get here, 2 things. Number 1, we get Zhivago's death, which is very, very sad. I really hope for you manga-only viewers now, or manga people that are caught up with the manga, I really, really hope, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you anime-only watchers, that due to current circumstances, I want to see Zhivago again. I want to see Zhivago again. Just saying, just putting it out there. For those of you who see my manga reviews, you will know that I've already promoted this, but I want to see Zhivago again. Now, Zhivago has died. Very sad. Point number 2 is that Bond actually didn't just walk away from the sins because he's being selfish. He can't actually stand being around Meliodas right now because Meliodas is such a good friend. Not because his plan failed, not because of the whole sins, not because anything. He is torn between his lover and his best friend. He chose his lover over his best friend, but not only chose over. This isn't like, okay, my life with my best friend, my roommate, a Joey Chandler thing from Friends going on versus, my lover in Europe sort of idea. No, this is, I chose to, literally kill one for the other. And the thing is that as Bond states, he goes, but he didn't get mad. I feel worse because he didn't get mad. He is such a selfless, good-hearted, great man. The ultimate friend. He couldn't even hold it against me when I tried to kill him. I don't know about you guys. I got some pretty good friends. I can name basically on one hand, but I would consider them pretty great friends. Sorry guys if you're watching this video, but you ain't to that level. I'm sorry. You start killing for me over any of your women or any future women you got, they better be able to bring me back to life, because if that's not your ace in the hole for that whole thing, no, you're not getting any forgiveness from me. I've been through thick and thin with you boys. This is ridiculous. So, I totally get Bond's sort of hate for himself right now. He didn't leave the sins because he didn't like Meliodas or he didn't think he actually deserved a place beside Meliodas at this point. He doesn't deserve his friendship. And that is a really good plot point. Really wish they would have expanded upon it, but it is still relevant, it's still stated, and it's still a great plot point. Now, right before Zhivago dies, this is where he says, well, listen, honestly, you got a great friend. Look at all the shit I did. You might say water under the bridge because you forgave me. But this friend of yours is a great friend in the same way that you were a great son. You have to forgive yourself. He's already forgiven you. For whatever, for whatever reason, he has actually forgiven you. But you haven't forgiven yourself for being a shitty friend to him. That's what it boils down to. And you need to cope with that. Go back to your friend. Apologize again. And go back to the way you were. That is kind of, and he says, don't bottle it up inside, let it out. I'm so glad that after all these years you're alive, but not only that, you opened up to someone other than me. You opened up to clearly Jericho, the first human you got along with, which is, I don't know, relatively accurate, because that's kind of Xing out Elizabeth, who I think Bond gets along with for the better sake of the word. But I'd give it to Jericho, other than saying, okay, you still get along with Elizabeth pretty well. But I mean, you can make an argument for that one later. That being said, I did like that storyline, but I felt like a lot of the emotion was drained out of it that I was kind of picking up from the last episode. We got the whole backstory. We're really ready to go. And then we have 5 to 6 minutes of King versus Meliodas in a non-decisive, who cares battle. Then we jump back over and we try to garner the same emotion. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I'm sorry, guys. After that, we see that, of course, he dies and stuff, and that's very sad. What happens next?
2 hours later.
Right, of course, King and Meliodas exit this trial for really kind of crap reasons. But either way, there's a couple things to note. Number one, King has kind of felt a pulse in his back after Meliodas brought up the one relevant point to me in the whole crux of this fight is that, the second Fairy King, Delilah, she had very prominent wings. And the one before that had really grand wings. Are you really the Fairy King? Because you got no wings. Very relevant. And then we see King's back what the hell? And he looks back, he goes, what was that sensation? What was that feeling? And here's where we're going down a little bit of a plot thread. I kind of like it. This was made relevant in earlier parts I feel in the manga, even though it wasn't stated, like, but I wish they had brought up a note of this before in the anime, because I felt like in the manga it was kind of late in delivery. I wish this had been brought up further in the or beforehand in the anime to a better degree. This was an opportunity to do that, is all I'm saying. Now, this is where, of course, they reveal, okay, Meliodas did pass the trial. He's got his powers back. Okay. Give him his powers back. And there's this giant goddess amber that breaks, cracks. Great animation. Like the animation. Boom, ba, boom. Meliodas has his power back. Everyone's like, well, he's like the same. What's changed? And King's sitting there like, what the hell are you guys talking about? You think this guy standing in front of us is the same? Because as a fairy, he probably has a more inner, like a druid, has more in touch with nature, magic, that kind of idea, and can sense the change in Meliodas. Now, this is where Meliodas just looks at Merlin and goes, yo, 10 commandments, let's do it. Teleport me right now. And Merlin's like, yeah, okay. Everyone's like, whoa, wait a minute. Merlin, you're supposed to be smart. Meliodas, we know you're an idiot, but what the flying fuck? And Meliodas like, no, guys, it's fine. Merlin's like, you only have about 10 seconds. Now, in the manga, it's 10 seconds. Here, it's 15. Might be a translation issue between the two. Don't know which one is correct. Either way, he's got less than half a minute, basically, between the time he gets there. He's got to survive and teleport back. Here's the thing. Okay. He teleports. Can't hate this scene. Best scene I've seen in a few, other than the Bomb backstory thing, which was emotional. But best moment, I think, since the last season, battle-wise. I don't think I'm wrong on this, guys. I really don't. Really, tell me a moment that was more badass than this moment. Fight scene shonen-esque wise in this whole season. In the last 11 episodes. Because I don't think there really was. This was really cool. The problem is that I know it's anime and stuff, but at least in the manga, you could kind of retcon, you could justify, okay, a lot of shit happening at the same time. We're just seeing it in slow-mo. But this is blatantly longer than 15 seconds. 10 seconds, 15. This is over a minute. That's a fact. Now you can make the argument that Merlin watched the whole thing and pulled him back at the last second. But in the manga, it seems more relevant that Merlin was like, okay, I'll teleport you there. And then after my magic comes back and I'm able to, my refresh rate, for my time clock goes back, I'll use the spell again on you. She wasn't watching. She wasn't doing any of that crap. And didn't get that feeling here. So I believe that kind of broke the scene a little bit for me, because the whole time I'm watching, I'm going, really long 10 seconds. Really long. I felt like it was a little extended, and considering all my complaints about not extending the right moments in this anime thus far, when you have rights to, an OVA is usually so much better, but there is a certain je ne sais quoi that they give to anime, and I really feel like they're putting the added 10 seconds, 15 seconds worth of animation into the wrong scenes. I feel like that they could be placed better in the hands of the people doing the emotional scenes, dragging those out a couple of more lines. Like, this wasn't meant to be a fight scene. This was oh, yeah, hey, Gallon. Done. Now, the rest of the 9 of you, we're going to talk for a minute. That was really more badass. The only reason this is on par with the manga for me is the music and the reminiscent of the Meliodas badass music here halfway through the scene. Like that music track, really think it's cool. It's not on par with number 1 from Bleach, and don't flame me or hate me for that one, but I always loved number one instrumental and the actual soundtrack in Bleach for Ichigo Kurosaki. That was a really like, okay, this is gonna be cool. Always was, and now this was always Meliodas' scene, and like his song for his scene sort of idea, and that's the only thing that pulls it back up here, because as I said, it takes away the coolness of the moment when he just one-shotted a Ten Commandment, left him laying there bleeding, and then had his conversation, rather than the alternative of making a fool out of him, humiliating him, beating him up, then slashing him to death. Either way, the conversations, though, between the Ten Commandments, mostly Zeldris, and Meliodas go the same way. It's revealed that Meliodas is the brother of Zeldris, who seems to be the de facto leader of these 10 Commandments. And that's pretty much it. He beats the shit out of Galen, and he is going to be attacked by Zeldris and Fraudrin by the looks of it, but he does get teleported back away by Merlin in the nick of time. But, like, as I said, other than the soundtrack made up for the kind of lacklusterness of the moment that they didn't fully grasp animation-wise from the manga, but I believe that the soundtrack kind of brought it back up here, so they leveled on par. Anyways, the episode was pretty good overall, guys. What did you guys think? I know this is kind of quick, relatively speaking, for me, doing one of these, but I just really wanted to get this out so I can focus on episode 12 and try to get up to being current and stuff like that. So, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Griever with your anime episode review of episode 11 of Nanatsu no Taizai Imashim no Fukatsu, being the latest season of Seven Deadly Sins. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, usual good stuff. It's always appreciated. Damn it, it's late on a work night, and you know what, I don't care that it's not a Behind the Bar review. Drink responsibly either way, and we'll see you back here next time, guys. Episode 12 review is coming out soon. Thanks for watching, guys. See you the next time.